think the first time I came into contact, physical contact, was in 2007 in Reno at a supercomputing conference. Now you know, from computing to quantum computing, there was contact.
So, I mentioned that the D-Wave system is going to be located next to the Jupiter supercomputer, the exascale computer. How do you envision those two working together?
And so the exascale computer is a digital computer, clearly an HPC system. And we want to open on these systems new avenues that will boost the exascale performance to some direction where exascale will not be sufficient to do the computations. Here we see huge potential in the D-Wave machine. By experience, since 2019 we have remote access to a 2000 qubit system, and since 2022, actually beginning of 2022, we have hosted an advantage system with 5,600 qubits, I guess.
We say
lots of less. And with this system we have made extremely good experience as to science.
Can you talk about some of the applications that you've worked on the system?
There are so many. There is one that was in recent weeks by Julich and his group on cosmology. We were talking about science. I'm deeply convinced that basic science is also the driver of economic growth, and it will be in the future. So this activity was to compute the growing of bubbles in the early cosmological vacuum. It's a difficult thing, of course, but you can imagine it as some bubbles in let's say, gas or in some environment, some classical material science environment. And the interaction of the bubbles is an interesting thing. The D-Wave, one could compute this interaction, and one can now take, let's say, conclusions as to the forming of the early universe in cosmology. For me, as a scientist, I'm an elementary particle physicist, this was an extremely interesting application, and this is just one of so many.
You've also done some work in AI, haven't you, on the system?
Yes, of course. This machine, the Jupiter, will be an AI machine, I believe even more than a simulation machine. So we have conceived it as a simulation engine, but in recent years we also said, let's have a dual sort of activity on this machine, but now everybody wants to do AI training. And here, I believe, with the D-Wave machine, we can properly integrate the systems. I don't want to integrate one in the other. They have their own, let's say, fields of interest, but then they can work together, and we are on that. We have lots of software developed, and we are developing together. We believe that we can speed up and we can multiply the effectiveness of AI training through the D-Wave machine in the future. And that's exactly where we believe this will have an impact. It will not be solely a D-Wave machine, but it will also not going on with GPUs only. Who can afford the huge energy bill that system requires?
Exactly. And two of the reasons I think why, not to put words in your mouth, but why you were interested in actually having the system there and having more control over it was first to more tightly integrate it with the Jupiter supercomputer, and secondly to have the ability to control more of the operating parameters of the quantum computer. When our quantum computers are in our cloud service, for example, we have to run them at a constant temperature. You can't vary the temperature of the system. And now you'll have the ability to actually vary those parameters.
Yes, even more, let's say, delicate ones, just that the program can control those parameters if necessary. So if you use the machine as a function, so to say, you invoke a function in your C or Python program, whatever you use on the supercomputer, then you might be able to, let's say, boost the effectiveness of the quantum computer through knowledge of the performance of your program. That's what we are going into, and we believe that for AI this might be very interesting application.
Yeah, and we're really excited about the work that's on the horizon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.